It's finally here! I mean, a lot of the talents have already streamed it by the time you're watching this, but I've been purposely avoiding watching those streams so I can have a more in-depth review based on the personal experience. This time, the update has given it a major makeover with farming, fishing, interior decorating, and more. So let's get into what's new with the highly anticipated HoloCure 0.6 update. But let's get one thing out of the way real quick. If you've played HoloCure in the past but haven't touched it in a while, don't worry about your save progress being reset. You just download the new HoloCure from Steam, and the save file from before the update will be transferred into the new one. Let me show you. Here you can see this is the file where my HoloCure 5 point something version is. Going to download it from Steam right now, and 200 megabytes later, it's ready to play. Immediately moving on from the intro, you can see that the new stage 4 is unlocked, as well as all of the achievements that I have had in the previous save file are now coming back so that Steam knows we have them. And then after that, the Holo House is also unlocked. We will get into the Holo House later. But for now, let's get into the gameplay. For the most part, the stages and the combat system are the same. Rerolls, eliminations, holozone, power-ups, with the update adding all 3 of the Indonesian generations, Area 15, Holorow, and Holohero, and I assume there have been added weapons that I have not yet unlocked, especially when it comes to those weapons being unlocked when you beat Stage 4. Speaking of Stage 4, that new stage kicked my booty with all the members that I've tried it with. It's a small oval stage with barrels that get in your way every time you think that there's a hole you can loop through to grab that power-up or that anvil. As for the HUD, it's basically the same UI, except for the stamps that you have equipped are now visible next to the weapons and items. And when it comes to the addition of the ID branch comes their fandoms, their themed stamps, and more achievements. And speaking of the new girls, why don't we get into seeing how it is that they play? Up first, we have the stoic model Muna. Now, her main weapon is a large crescent moon she throws in front of her in an arc. When that's maxed out, every 5 hits will create a full moon which deals the weapon's current damage. For her special, she turns into the Moon Goddess, which doubles her movement speed and attack. Her attack turns into a large slash and still creates a full moon like in her main weapon, the Crescent Moon. Her Moon Song skill activates every 10 seconds and creates a moving orb that draws targets in, dealing damage every half second, also pulls in bosses. The Hoshinova and Muna skill gives her an attack buff, but when taking damage, will reduce the amount of damage received by 15% for 5 seconds. The Lunar Construction skill will have targets drop lunar blocks. Once you pick up 5 blocks, a lunar rabbit will speed towards target and explode. When it defeats targets, it will fill up the special meter. Next up is our crazy squirrel, Risu. As expected, she is crazy for nuts. I mean, her main weapon is nuts, her special is nuts, and one skill in particular is pretty nuts. When you max out her main weapon, they will increase in attack size and will bounce once hitting the edge of the screen. Her special, called Big Nuts, will stun enemies for 3 seconds with her singing, and then Risu will summon the Big Nuts that slam down and deal 400% damage. Her skill, Non-Stop Nuts, is pretty nifty. A small chance that defeated targets will explode and scatter nuts. Speaking of all the nuts, have you heard of these? If not, that's okay. It's a skill that inflicts internal damage equal to 25% of a non-boss target's HP. I took like 3 extra takes of trying to read that, so finally got it done. There's also a DLC skill. It's used for coin farming. You will gain holo coins every 3 seconds, and every 5 coins gained, another Risu will be created for 15 seconds. For every Risu that is created, they will throw nuts that cause damage. After Risu, we have the runaway alien, Iofi. Being a talented artist, her main weapon is a paintbrush. Once it's maxed out, it will cover targets with paint, which increases the crit chance, and they might leave a paint trail, which will do 50% of the weapon's damage. Her special is Draw, which will allow you to paint on the map for 20 seconds. The paint deals damage and will remain on the ground for 5 seconds before disappearing. Her first skill is Erolfi, which heals her as she gets hurt. When she takes damage, she will heal HP depending on how many enemies are within 50 pixels. Alien Brainwashing will deal a great amount of damage and pacify targets for 3 seconds. It will also give you 1% crit for each target brainwashed for 15 seconds. If you didn't know, Eolfi is a polyglot, which means she knows several languages. It's been said that Eolfi knows how to speak Indonesian, English, Japanese, German, Korean, and Sudanese. She also knows how to speak 3 different sign languages. It is also the name for her third skill. Polyglot will give you buffs depending on the language bubble and will deal 200% damage if you pick up a different language bubble than the one that you currently have equipped. The buffs you can get from this skill are for attack, critical, movement speed, haste, and/or pickup range. Up next is the energetic zombie that we all know and love, Holly. Slashing that sword in her head is her main weapon. A little narrow attack path, but it gets the job done. Once maxed out, she will throw the sword out in front of her and it will boomerang back to you. Her special is Charge Rifle, which fires 2 beams, like the charge rifle does. The first one is smaller, and the more targets you hit with it, the stronger and bigger the second beam will become. Her undead skill could be a stage clearing savior. Once the HP reaches 0, she cannot die for 10 seconds. You can heal yourself back to positive HP and be revived that way, but you gotta do that within the 10 seconds the skill is activated. You will lose 50% of your max HP for 1 minute, so be careful. The Simp of All Time skill damages you for 5 HP but will heal you back after 2 seconds, and will give you haste and speed buffs for 8 seconds. My favorite skill that she has is the Zombie Ninjutsu. It's a little overpowered and awesome. When you charge up enough of the chakra meter at the various levels, you'll get some pretty cool attacks. The first one is a giant fireball right in front of you. The second one forms a ring of spinning bubbles and encapsulates Ollie in a bubble. The third one throws rocks at nearby targets, and finally the last one unleashes lightning that hits heavy and will stun any surviving enemies for a brief amount of time. Actually, I'm gonna take a sip of water first. If you're having a snack or a sandwich, it better not be turkey, because we're going to talk about our beloved turkey, Reine. Reine's main weapon is Peafowl Feathers. Similar to Mume, she shoots them out in front of her. Once they're maxed out, it shoots feathers behind her. Tonjok is her special, and it is a real powerhouse and money grab. Pair Tonjok with the Super Chat item and Greed Stamp, and you'll be farming coins like crazy. And if you're confident enough, add Halu for that juicy bonus at the end of the stage. The Wind Magic skill is pretty handy. Each crit hit adds 1 or more % to a maximum stack of 20, which increases haste. It also has a 20% chance to cast a Wind Blast to a nearby target and deal 100% damage or more. The Lady of the Peafowl skill helps increase The Lady of the Peafowl skill helps increase crit damage by 1%. It will last 30 seconds or more, and recovers time for each coin that you pick up. And finally, the Attention Please skill will add a crit chance stack of plus 1% per target within 150 pixels when the skill activates. Targets outside the circle will get reduced movement speed for 3 seconds. If you're feeling that you need a little nap, well, so does the Queen of Sleep, Anya. This sleepyhead's main weapon is the Keris. I highly recommend grabbing that limiter, as her maxed out weapon becomes much more deadly the larger pickup range that she has. It will summon large Keris from underneath up to 4 targets that are all within the pickup range. The skill Cutting Deep will also increase that range and has a chance to hit targets twice with melee weapons, so long as they are within the range. Slumber is a neat skill to have. It slows down targets, reduces damage taken by a small amount, and heals at the same time, but it will cost a 7% attack damage reduction per stack. The skill cannot be reactivated for 2 seconds after use. The Living Weapon skill helps increase attack both with weapons and passively, with a sharp aura. In conclusion, she can become a very strong attack build very quickly. Oh yeah, and her special is being a large spinny Geras that takes no damage for 10 seconds and her movement speed is doubled. Next, we move on to the adopted one, Gobo. Her main attack is her umbrella, and as you'd expect, upgrading it increases damage, adds knockback, but maxed out, it splashes water droplets in front, giving it a little bit of extra range. Her special is Underwater, or as I call it, the Great Flood. It deals constant damage, slows all enemies, heals Gobo, and deals double movement speed for 10 seconds. The Tantrum skill is nice and powerful, a skill based on her lovely screaming ability that we all know her for. After taking enough hits, she deals a strong attack upwards of 300% damage, so make sure you have some good healing items or Phoenix Feather on hand. The other side of that is Praise, which when getting healed or not taking damage, will increase attack by 30% for 10 seconds. Both Praise and Tantrum have a little meter you can see on the bottom left of the screen. And finally, the Rain Shaman skill creates a rain cloud that hovers over nearby targets, raining on them, dealing damage over time. Moving on to the Sleepless Blacksmith, Kaela. Her main weapon is the Blacksmith Hammer that has about a 120 degrees swing. When maxed out, it will increase damage by 30%, and there will be a 30% chance for the hammer to knock minerals out of the target, which deal 40% of the weapon's damage. Her special is the Rarest Material, which spawns a mineral to mine and deals 300% damage to targets when hit. Once fully mined, it grants Kaela Happiness, which adds a 50% buff to attack, speed, and haste for 10 seconds. The No Pressure skill deals damage to targets within 125 pixels every 2 seconds and increases damage by 25% to all surviving targets up to 10 times. As a blacksmith, she is always on a material grind, which gives targets a chance to drop an ore deposit which can be mined. Once mined, it will drop an ore that increases weapon damage by 1, 2, or 3% for every 10 that are picked up. Blacksmith skill will drop an anvil on targets every 10 seconds. Anvils deal 300% damage and have a small chance of becoming an upgrade anvil. And for a piece of bonus trivia, her special, the Rarest Material, which gives Kaela Happiness once mined, is a metaphor for her real-life experience and the happiness that she felt for joining HoloLive. And finally, we move on to the Secret Agent Cat, Zeta. Her main weapon is a multi-shot silenced pistol similar to Amelia's. When invisible, the pistol becomes a wide-area single shot. Once the pistol is maxed out, it gets more buff. For each target a bullet hits, the damage of the bullet increases by 10%, maxing out at 100%. Her special is Stealth Mode, which makes her invisible for 8 seconds. She doesn't take damage and targets will stop moving towards her while invisible. Her data collection skill gives a small chance to hit 50% EXP out of non-boss targets on each critical hit. With her cat ? Reflexes, her crit rate is increased by a small amount, and when she's invisible, it increases crit rate by a further 5%. And with the Secret Agent skill, she can dodge a hit, and when she does, she turns invisible for 4 seconds and all damage is increased. And that will be all, at least in this video, for the ID girls. Thanks for sticking around for this long. Now, let's move on to the newest part, and kind of my favorite part of HoloCure, the Holo House. Honestly, The Holo House is the newest and the most relaxing part of HoloCure. You can farm, fish, cook, decorate in the house, and make fellow fans do some work for you. I'll start with the farming first. As expected, there are many plants to choose from and different soil types. Standard soil, which is just soil, nothing special, just lets you plant stuff in it. Next is the expedited soil, which makes things grow faster by 50%. Enhanced soil gives you a larger harvest. The Holo members that are seen popping up and leaving in the Holo House area can help water your plants, which will reduce the time for growth by about 1 minute. Now, I took a break to go get some food while I was recording all of this footage, and when I came back, the other members had done some fishing. What they were able to catch was ready for you to pick up around the pond. Bloop makes an appearance, being the owner of the fish shop. Here you can buy other rods themed around Kali, Gaela, Gura, and Nurene. The Atlantean rod is my favorite one, mostly for the call-out. There are many kinds of swimming creatures you can catch here, and each rod will allow you to catch different kinds of fishes. I was lucky enough to catch a golden koi with the fishing rod from Uncle Dad. Part of the hiring thing is that you can recruit and put fellow fans in a small corral to work and collect some holo coins for you as you play between stages, fish, farm, or decorate the house. You will have the ability to hire and fire as you please, so you can get the most efficient people to farm coins for you while you relax by doing some fishing. You will have to feed them though, it's kinda part of the deal. You can feed them by growing crops or catching fish depending on what they require, which is also how you level them up. Their efficiency and stamina is increased with every level, so they can collect coins faster and for longer periods of time. Now, if you really don't want to, you can just wait for other members to fish everything for you while you watch YouTube or do some chores or something if you don't want to do it yourself. The cooking in the game gets as simple as it gets. Just have all the ingredients that you need and press cook. The foods will give you modifiers for your next game, stat upgrades, healing drops, and automatic heals. For the home decorating, it's actually pretty nice. In the actual Holo House, you can decorate it however you please. Just go over to the Shuriken employee, go through the catalog, and decorate the house however you'd like. Once you've purchased something, you can make as many of them as you want. Want a lot of beds? Do it! You can even change the floors and the walls. There's a lot you can do with the interior decorating, so get creative, and you can also share it on the HoloCure Twitter. In conclusion, I highly recommend getting the game for yourself, because it's less than 1 gig, it's free, and there's a lot of content to interact with. There is probably a few things that I've left out, mostly because I have no idea how they work. Specifically, the super collabs. I have no idea how it works. And like I said in the beginning, this entire video is based on personal experience with the game, so if you already know how that works, congratulations, you're doing better than I am, and that's not really that hard. But other than that, I believe I've gone over almost everything in this big, major update. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.